The very world we know took an unexpected turn this year. This year has awakened me, has awakened us all, has awakened us to truths we can no longer ignore. Women all over the world are hurting. Women all over the world need to be heard. So join me as I embark on a journey that will lead me into conversations with women all over the world on issues that women of this generation face on a global scale. Hi Wanene, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well. You look amazing.
Thank you. You too.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of this, for taking the time to do this interview with me. I know it's been a lot of back and forth, obviously trying to do this under the same sun, at least, or try to get the same hours and trying to get as much information as we can in the amount of time that we had. So thank you again. I know you've been super busy. You've been doing so much for the community and you've been so involved, and I've been seeing all your pictures and I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I had a very busy week, and also we had International Youth Day this week on the 12th, so we had a lot of preparations for it, but it was a success.
Nice.
Yeah, and Sunday's here, so let's do this.
That's amazing. So, tell us a little bit. We're gonna get into some of the. Let's get into the icebreaker questions first, and then I want you to tell us about what you do, because you've been super active, and I want you to tell everybody what you're doing and kind of go into details on that organization that you're working with. So, what is your favorite traditional dish?
My favorite dish is nyama choma. Nyama choma, that is like fried goat. And also chapati and pilau.
And pilau?
Chapati is like dough which has been fried with oil, but not left to dry, like what is it called? Naan, the Hindu naan. So it's not crispy and it's not soft. It's like soft bread.
It's like naan is like that non-Indian bread, right?
Yeah, and naan is super crunchy.
So good.
But chapati is not as crunchy, but it's so sweet. Like, you cannot come to Kenya and expect me not to make for you chapati.
And are you in Kenya? How is the family there when you go and you have a visitor? Do you guys do like big cookouts and like family meals? How is that?
Yes, like today I had my family here, so we woke up in the morning and made food for them, variety of foods for them, and also a little bit of drinks. Family is a special thing for Kenya and I think most of African countries, because it's a time when we come together, we share our love, we share how things have been like, and also catching up, especially right now with
COVID,
the pandemic. Like, things are maybe tough for everyone in different ways. So when we come together, we forget about all your problems and just laugh and eat while laughing.
So, actually, I was watching some videos of certain villages in Kenya, and there's this tradition where if a guest comes from like outside of Kenya or outside of the village, they welcome them with like chants and dances and like songs, and there's I believe there's like some goat milk involved in that as well.
What is that?
Goat milk? Yeah, goats.
Yeah.
Goat milk?
That's like the pastoralist, Maasai, Samburu, and I think Turkana too. They do that a lot. Like, they have to slaughter the goats live, and then you drink the milk and you pass around the gourd. it's a show of love.
My heart went to when you said slaughter goat. I was like,
you slaughter it and you drink the milk.
okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was seeing some of the videos where, like, in certain villages, a guest would come and they like welcome them, and the goat milk
And
is like a very
dancing.
The what?
Yeah, they dance. They dance a lot and they have very nice songs.
Yes, I love that.
So in different parts of Kenya, like, people have different traditions. Some got lost, like some traditions just disappeared, like people don't embrace them so much more, especially in central and eastern Kenya. But in northern Kenya, the tradition is there.
Good.
Like,
Yeah.
the authentic way of living is still there. They also dress the same way with shangas and lassos.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh.
And, like, the Samburu, they're known for, they're called the colorful tribe because they have like feathers painted different colors on their heads. Their lassos are different colors.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
So when I go to Kenya, we have to go to, I want to have the full African experience. I want to go to like Samburu or one of those villages, and I want the whole, without the slaughtering of goats, please. We'll leave
We'll tell them in advance.
We'll leave the baby goats out of it, please. But I'll drink the milk. The milk is okay. We just won't kill them.
Okay.
We'll tell them in advance.
We'll make you an itinerary for that.
Yes.
Yeah, for real.
Oh my god, that would be like my Okay, next year. I'm telling you, next year we're gonna go to the village, and then the safari. Okay, so well, that goes into my next question, which is what is your favorite or what is like a famous hobby or activity or pastime in Africa or Kenya?
My personal favorite activity is I love nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I love taking like nature walks with my husband and my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Also love game drives. We take those when we can. And where I come from in Laikipia, the setup and the landscape is like a conservancy itself. So you just take a road trip to some place and the environment changes. There are a lot of wildlife. Like right now it has rained, so they're out everywhere to graze.
Yeah.
They don't have any stress because of food. So you just find them along the ways. Once you leave the Lamy roads, the tarmac roads, you'll find them. So that's a therapeutic activity that I like to do, and also listening to music, Afrobeats.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. So I don't know, I think because I'm from Puerto Rico, I have like my African root inside of me because I love Afrobeats music. I love dancing like the traditional African dance. I've been practicing.
Yeah.
I'll like practice. And so when I go there, I'm ready.
But I think you're coming next year, you'll be polished.
Yes, perfect. But yes, it would be so much fun. But I love animals. Yeah. I love animals, and I love that you can drive and be able to see all of the wildlife just run free. That's just my dream. That's what I love. That's how it should be for all animals. But unfortunately, it's not like that everywhere else in the world. So.
Yeah, of course, apart from the rhinos, which are usually so much protected, most rhinos have like 24 hours, 24/7 security guard. And the order for rhinos is just shoot to kill. If you're near rhinos, so rhinos are rare to find.
Yeah.
They may be in like private conservancies. But the rest, like gazelles, zebras, groovy zebras, they're just...
That's amazing.
Out there. Yeah.
Which is something that I love so much about Africa, because while there's obviously its pros and its cons, you know, obviously you're not as developed as like, you know, other countries, but other countries don't have this preservance of nature and wildlife, and I feel like in your country there's so much of that you can actually you know, protect the actual innocence of the lands and the animals, and I love that. I wish we could all get to a place where we can just cut down, like strip down all of the stuff that's damaging the environment and the atmosphere and the animals.
I think as you grow and things become concrete and concrete jungles everywhere, then they are threatened and they just prefer to live in some place away from the concrete.
Yeah.
Which again is dangerous for them because their land and their homes are being squeezed away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I like it here because I mean it's peaceful, it's calm, we coexist. People try really to coexist with them, and when it rains like this year, then there's so much reduced human wildlife conflicts because like elephants don't go into people's farms.
Yeah.
Like it's just a good time.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so what is a famous Kenyan saying?
What a boy can see while standing, a man can see while sleeping. That is in reference to how much we should honor our elders and how much wisdom they have that you can get from them. Yeah, so what we think that we've grown or matured so much that we can see them at whichever the age they are right now, they can see even further than we can. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And do people really, like at least in your culture, do you see that the younger generation kind of looks up to the older for wisdom? Is that something that happens?
Right now with the millennial generation, it's kind of like eroding, but I would wish people would do that because in things like having a family, coexisting in your community, developing yourself, I think they have a little bit of more knowledge than we do, despite having access to the internet and smartphones.
Yeah,
they do have a lot of knowledge.
100%.
And wisdom. They were able to do so much without what we have right now. Then you can imagine how much knowledge they have. So, and also it's also a blessing. Like when elders speak to you or respect to them, it's always a blessing.
Yes. And there's I don't know how the saying goes, but I've always been told if you listen to the advice of, you know, the older or the elderly, you will become wise. So I've always battled with that because I'm the type of person that I need to learn my lessons.
You can get what you'll get from them, and then now just put it in your life. Yeah, because the challenges we're also facing right now are so different from the challenges they had at their time. But they can just mention something to you and it lights up your thoughts or at least gets you from a draining place. Yeah. It's always a positive thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, so what is your favorite city in Kenya and why?
I don't have a favorite city. My town is my favorite, which is not a city. It's a small town called Nanyuki, which is at the equator of Kenya. Yeah, and it's so beautiful. Like it's antique. It has beautiful spaces. We have very many communities living together. And it's just, you know, just a space where there's not so much rush. Yes, we have life stresses and everything else, but you know, the traffic jams, all that's like a polluted environment. Yeah, we don't have that.
And
that's why I love it so much. Like there might be a lot of traffic in the morning, but it's not as severe as in the city. Yeah.
Yeah, I love, so I'm kind of two-sided. So I love a good city. Like, I love the city, but I also want to come home to a relaxed space and environment where I can just think clearly and I don't have to hear any noise outside or go through traffic to get home. So, yeah, I like both. I like a little bit of both worlds.
For me, I don't know if I can be able to like live in Nairobi for a long time. But they say when you live there and you adapt to how Nairobi works, then you'll also not be able to live in other small towns.
Oh, really?
So, Yeah, I think it's like an addiction to the pressure and like how things are moving so fast, how you have to hustle or do this so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. I think it's hard for people that live in like a busy city to go to maybe like a suburbs or like a less
relaxed place.
Because they're so used to like the fast pace and everything moving so fast. Yeah, that when they go to a place that's more chill, they're like, and that's how New Yorkers are. If you know any New Yorker, they're like that. They they're super fast. Everything's on the go, and then when they come to somewhere like Florida, where everything's just really spread out, you have to drive to places. Everything's kind of slow. It's just like torture for them. So
they can get anxious or something.
Exactly. That's so funny. Well, it's good to know that that's not just here, that so many different parts of the world have their own cities and similarities.
They have, I think, those cities that everything is in a rush. You have deadlines, you have to do things. Like they're pretty busy places.
That's good. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and watch a little video on the topic that we are going to get into today. So stay tuned.
In central Kenya, the burden to collect water has always rested on the shoulders of the women. But under the weight of a 15-year-long drought, this burden has become almost unbearable.
Water is a woman issue. When that water is not there, it's the woman who spends her whole day looking for water.
The women of Kwebenzi village start their search for water at 3 a.m. They walk 3 hours to the nearest well, then spend another 3 hours collecting as much water as they can. They return home 11 hours later, exhausted and starving.
Most of them had continuous headaches. They thought it was normal to have a backache because they had backache throughout their life. And a woman who is expectant, you carry that water on your back for those many kilometers. Most women have miscarriages.
To keep their families alive, every drop these women carry back must be used for cooking and drinking, leaving nothing for other basic needs.
Hygiene issues was a big problem. Women and children were not washing themselves. Women used actually to use cow urine to wash utensils. And they used to clean their children's faces using saliva.
So, as you saw in the video, and as you are very much aware of what's going on in your country, there is a big water crisis in Kenya and in most of Africa, really. And I'll talk about two major issues. I want us to talk about two major issues, but I really want to cover this issue first, just because I feel that so many people don't even know that this is going on in Africa. I think a lot of people, at least here in the U.S., see third world countries or see other countries that, aren't as developed and see them, okay, they have their sufferings and they have their poverty issues, but they don't understand what's the issue. They don't really understand why it's happening the way that they are, what's going on. And so one of the things that I really want to highlight is obviously the water issue and how women have the responsibility to attain and get clean water for their homes. And so it's really sad when I was learning about what was going on. It broke my heart because women are always treated, I think in so many different countries. I've already had some interviews where women are the last ones to sit at the table and eat, and I think it goes the same way with this situation. And so I'll just throw a little facts that I found here on this issue, and then we'll go into the topic. So only 59% of Kenyans have access to basic water services. Only 29% have access to sanitary services. women are responsible, as you saw in the video, for providing the water for their families. But unfortunately, they're the least to have access to the water that they attain. Also, on their journey to get the water to and from, they're confronted by violence. They're confronted by sometimes rape. They're confronted by all these different obstacles. And as you saw in the video, back aches, headaches, stress on their bodies. A lot of them have had miscarriages getting the water to then come home and not be able to use it for themselves. And it's just really, really heartbreaking that women have to go through all of this. And we have to face so many different things in so many different parts of the world. But I think this issue is something that really just struck in my heart the most, just because it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that this is the culture, and I understand that in many countries, women have been seen as the ones that have to provide and be the caregivers. But if we're expected to do that, if at least let us have access to it and be able to reap the fruit, bear the fruit that we're, so it's really heartbreaking. And so because of the lack of sanitary services as well, women have to walk those long distances to find a restroom to use, or and obviously these are more in like the other villages, the rural areas, not so much in the main city. But it's still happening, and it's happening a lot from what I saw. So maybe you can shed some light on that and tell us what's going on.
Yes, true, especially when there's a dry season, then women really suffer because they have to walk long kilometers to fetch water. Also, their children, as much as they're seen like, as far as they're seen like they've grown, then they'll have to accompany their mothers to also fetch water, maybe in like 10-liter jars or containers. And it's also stressful from their health to how they'll be able to have the same level of productivity at home, because already their energy is worn out. But that again does not count, because the patriarchy system in the society kind of allows women to undergo these stresses. These are structural things that have been there from way back. So right now, this generation, you and me, this is us to be a voice for these women and help change what is happening, and also help educate these communities that it's okay to share roles. You guys can share roles. You can come up with simpler ways of getting solutions. For example, right now there's a lot of rain, and we are urging the government and maybe NGOs that have big funds. They can construct dams or mini dams to fetch this water for these communities. So when it's dry, the livestock and the families can be able to live without so much stress, because the water is here and it's getting flooded, and the water is getting into waste. And that time will come when the women will be the one to go and bear all this burden for everyone. And again, after getting water from the river, they're expected to come back and make meals and ensure everybody is comfortable, and of course be the last one to go to bed, because you cannot go to bed. Even for me as a mom and a wife, there's no time, maybe hardly do I ever feel comfortable just by the virtue of being a woman, not even like being educated or having a supportive husband. Like, you just have to counter check and make sure everything is okay. And maybe when I'm tired, I can just say, okay, you guys have gone to bed. But by the time I'm saying that, I'm sure everything is okay. You can just maybe wake up, take tea if you want, do this if you want, So the society has to build a women-friendly environment for us to be able to thrive in. Somebody made an example one day that when you sit on a car, the seat belt is usually coming to the front of your chest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was these are a human central point of things, and from a woman's central point of things. So when they say human, most of the time is usually a man's central point of things, because I think like a seat belt was meant for a man, because when you're expectant and you have to have that
Yeah.
seat belt on, it's like the worst thing ever. It's so uncomfortable. And also the mic and the mic that journalists usually use, it was also meant for men, not for women, because of how much the wires just have to, come inside your blouses and come to the front. If it was made for women, then there would be a way for it to just be adjusted to your clothes without so much wires into your body. So right now, these are the things we are advocating for. The society has to look at women as humans, not just as women, and treat us with the level of potentials. Yeah, without really looking into, you are a woman, you can do this, you cannot do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously there's a whole, cultural background with, the responsibilities and everything. But I want to know how we can reach out. If there's anything, do you know if there's anything that anybody's doing to help these women in Kenya? I know that there's an organization that I'm probably going to put in the comments and in the Instagram. I'm going to tag a water, it's called Water Crisis, I believe. I have to get the name of the organization, but I know they were helping with, trying to provide as much water and bringing in from other sources. So is there anything that the government is doing right now to help this issue? If not, what can people do? And how can we get women to stop having to go do that?
So far, I've not known, like, I'm talking in relation to where I come from, Laikipia County, which is also a county that has very serious challenges on matters water. Like, apart from the centers, like the town center, then in the remote areas, there's a very huge challenge. And most of these families have huge numbers of cattle, sheep and goat and cows. Like, maybe they have like 200 sheep, 200 goats, and 50 cows, and they all are looking for pasture and water, including plus the family. What I know is our current minister for water, he's called Mr. Njenga. He's really trying to create just ways that people can have access to water. Apart from that, we had a project in 2017 where we had water filters, which are providing to families for them to filter the water, because it's one thing to have access to water, and it's also another issue to have access to safe and drinking water, because this water sometimes is even green in color. When farms from the upside drain chemicals into the farm, then the water becomes poisonous for the families. Yeah, and they get a lot of the rare cases. Children really get sick. And diarrhea is one of the leading causes of death among infants, and also kids under 5 years old. So we did water filters to the communities. We gave family water filters, which are not like so big, they're small, but they really filter 98% of the bacteria in the water. So that's one area that I'd really like to venture into. Like, if we get maybe a grant or somebody who is willing to support us, then we'd go to the grassroots, like what we are doing with what we'll talk about later, and really make sure these families have at least one water filter. Or there's also an option for community water filters, which maybe the pastors of the churches can be in charge of, which really filter a large amount of water. But I'd prefer the family ones, because you'll take care of it as a family and safeguard that a single water filter. Yeah, apart from that, then most of these families are just going to fetch the water. And the most heartbreaking part is, the more, because they've lived like this for so many years, then they don't recognize it's an issue. They don't recognize it's a right to have safe and drinking water, and they don't recognize that you can get to a point where you have access to water just outside your house. So that's why we also educate them on it's your right. You need to have this access to water. Like, you are not born to go and fetch it every day from like 10 kilometers away. So politicians take advantage of this because they're not what can I say? I do not say not educated, but exposed to what their rights are. Yeah, so they just assume that's how it should be.
And it's because, and I just thought about something, because when I first saw that video, it said that some of these women have all these backaches and headaches and all these issues in their bodies due to having to go fetch the water. But a lot of them don't even know. They think that that's normal, that's a normal thing that they should be feeling in their body. And so maybe it's because of how long this has been that it's now become a part of the norm, and the government maybe taking advantage of well, they're getting the water, they're fine.
Because these people, the communities will be holding the government accountable. We have members of the county assembly, we have members of parliament, women reps, women representatives, senators, we have the governor, and they'll still go there in 2 years' time. We have elections in 2020 and still ask for votes in the most remote of places. And these people will still vote. But these politicians will not want in any point to educate the communities on what their rights are. Because the moment they're aware of this, then they'll start demanding for better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's, and I love this because that's where I want to get to. I want to help, maybe connect with you how we can educate those communities and reach out to them and show them this is what you deserve. This is what you should have. This is what you should be demanding. And I think, it goes, what's been happening with the whole Black Lives Matter movement that started here in the US. You saw how those protests went global. And it was an incident here in the US, but it's something global. But it's because people know that this isn't the way humans should be treated. Or at least people with dignity and common sense and morals know that this isn't how humans should be treated. So when you know how things should go, you demand for change.
True.
And so that's education is so important. You nailed it. Educating those people and just showing them too. The thing is, I feel like maybe we can educate, but because they don't know what it's like, they haven't seen it. All they've known is this. It's hard for them to imagine and picture it.
Yeah, especially when they don't have access to these things. For like when we are taking the water filters to the communities, people are even surprised that these things exist, that it's possible to have safe water with only just a small gadget. Yeah, so the moment like they're brought to them like what you can have, what you can get and what you deserve, then they'll be able to demand for better.
And so another issue obviously that I want to get into, and this is something that you're very involved in and working with, is talking about girls and menstrual health. This is one of the biggest issues that I found amongst women and girls in Africa, in Kenya. And education is an issue. They're not obviously informed on how, why this is happening to their bodies, how to treat it, how to handle it. And another thing is obviously having the resources to be able to keep hygienic, hygienic, and access to pads. Tell us about that. There's a scarcity with that.
So it said 300 million women in the world experience their periods every day. So you can imagine here, at least like 1 out of 4 in rural Laikipia don't have access to menstrual health products. And despite even not having access, they don't have the information about menstrual health. And once they get their periods, most of them don't know what's happening to them because of the language or the communication barriers that exist between us, daughters and mothers. They say only 12% of girls are confident asking their moms about the first time period. Yes, so we took it upon ourselves. That is last year, that's when we began our menstrual health a program in our organization, Dream Dreams Initiative. And we decided to teach these girls, like I'm a firstborn in our family. I have 2 siblings. So I decided to take them as my younger sisters. Yes?
Yeah, same like me.
Yeah, so I
Same.
decided to be a big sister and really talk to them about periods. That was in schools when the schools were running as usual. But since the lockdown, that is in March, when the schools were shut down, then I told my friends and also members of our organization that our periods are going nowhere, and they don't even care if we're in a pandemic or not. They'll still keep coming. So these girls, and the fact that they're not even in school, they've gone back to their villages, so the situation will be even worse.
Yep.
So we decided to just look at how things were going, and then we made out everything. We created a roadmap of what we wanted to do, and also our target areas. And we go to the communities. We reach out to the chief, to at least one youth leader, and the village elders. We explain to them what we want to do and to do with their girls. Do you know why that is important? In our cultural setup, there are deep-rooted cultures that me as a young woman, I cannot just show up and start talking to people from another community. They cannot even listen to me. Yeah, so I have to work with the village elders, and also for them to have a sense of acceptance and responsibility in the project, so that the project is not about us but about them. Yeah, so when we head there, we provide sanitary towels. It depends on the amount of resources we have. It can be for 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months. And then apart from that, we sit down with them and have chats on reproductive health, sexual health, and menstrual health. There's a very big raising cases of teenage pregnancies right now in our country, and most of them are actually HIV positive. Yes, so like we try to talk about these issues in one setting.
Yeah.
The latest place we went, it's called Nakirel. The next center from that village is like 35 kilometers away. So apart from not having the knowledge, infrastructure is also a very big challenge. The roads are so bad. We got stuck in the mud for like 4 times, and there are no people coming. Like nobody's coming. You have to rescue yourself. So that was really heartbreaking, because we only gave them 5 packets of sanitary towels. That will take them for like 4 or 5 months. So we are not even sure when the next person will avail themselves. So we are also looking into sustainable ways of doing this, because I have an issue with reusable sanitary towels because of accessibility to water. Yeah, so apart from that being an issue, then I don't know how else we can really have a sustainable solution. Maybe providing 12 packets would be better, but that again requires more resources. But apart from that, we are really doing this so that we can get to show the world what's really happening in the grassroots. Because in this digital era, people think that things got sorted. Things are not sorted. Things are so bad that there was a place when we went to, and the elders told those girls that we were going to inject them family planning contraceptives. So those girls did not show up, because in the previous news, in the radios, they had heard about a case where doctors were injecting girls contraceptives. So when we got there and we saw a very small number of girls, as we had anticipated, we asked, and we had to get the girls brought back for them to see that we are coming to teach them about their periods and not giving them contraceptives. So in a nutshell shows you that the community is afraid of the girls getting access to information. They don't want these girls to get access to the information they need to learn about their bodies, because they're getting married at a very young age. They're having many children. Like, you'd see a lady who is 19, but she looks like she's, like 10 more years ahead. Yeah, because of how much her body has trained to conceive and to have kids. More than it should be. By the time you're 19, it's so heartbreaking. And we're in the 21st centuries, but the things that are happening are so disheartening. Also trying to find a point where it's good to have cultures. We love cultures, we embrace our cultures, but there are also harmful practices in our cultures, like female genital mutilation, which is still happening, especially now in the COVID era. A lot of things are it's happening.
I thought it was decreasing. So with COVID, it went up?
Yeah, with COVID, it's happening. Actually, my neighbor had a house help who was from the Samburu community. She was 20 years old. She left today morning because her uncle asked for her to go back home, for her to go and get married and first undergo FGM and for her to get married. That's a case we were dealing with today morning.
Wow.
Like today morning. So she had fled from her home. She only told her, of course, her mom knows. One of her cousins who she told is the one who told the uncle.
Wow.
Yeah, so with COVID, they're home and people can do what they want. People are these girls are getting impregnated by their relatives. Actually, I think the rape cases are not as much as the ones from relatives or just fellow age mates, like boyfriend, girlfriend situations. Because when they're home here, there's so much little to do, like your mind is not occupied. So they start complying now to keeping themselves busy with what seemed like eroding, but now it's getting back. Yeah, so it's a really sad situation on the ground.
So it's really heartbreaking. I just hearing those stories, I want to be able to go over there and help find resources to see what we can do. Maybe we can talk about something later where we can maybe partner up and I can see if I can get some resources from over here to help support, because I know with COVID it must be tough, obviously with everything going on. And I know that with education in schools, I wanted to kind of go into that. Girls that are dropping out of school because of their menstrual health, there's a huge illiteracy rate. I believe it was 80% literacy rate amongst women. They're dropping out of school because there's no water, the lack of water services in the schools. And the second one is because of their periods and they're getting made fun of, and they're scared of guys bullying them and talking down to them, and them not being able to handle what's going on with their bodies and not wanting to go to school. So I was reading about how that has been a huge spike and reason why girls have been dropping out of school. And if they don't drop out of school, they miss that period of time that they have their period. They don't go to school, but that education for that week or so is lost. So what are you guys doing, the organization, to help those kids and girls that are quitting school so early?
Yeah, so some of them just miss school during those days because of different reasons. For some, it might be like the severe pains that come with periods, like very painful cramps. Others, it might be the fear of stigma. So what we do in a school setup, we have men in our organization So they go aside with the boys and we go aside with the girls, because the boys will be more comfortable hearing this from a man than hearing it from me. They explain to them about periods and how they should be their sisters' keepers in case periods come when they're not aware. When they see that red patch on the girl's dress, instead of laughing and bashing them at them. Actually, there was a case where a girl committed suicide last year, but one, yeah, because of being bashed at in class, and the teacher did so little about it. So when she got home and the mom told her to go and fetch water, she didn't come back. She hanged herself with a lasso in one of the trees near where they get their water from. So we make sure the boys have information about menstrual health and how they can be of help to these girls, because they're always mixed in class. There's no time where girls will just have to coexist on their own. And then about sanitation, that's a really big challenge, because toilets are like maybe 3 in a school where the population is like 1,500 pupils, one for the girls, one for the boys, and maybe 2 for the staff. So that's like really requires a lot of resources for you to be able to mobilize. But you can give girls like small hacks of how to change, or how to make sure their pads are not full at this time, maybe class time, or maybe take a break when everybody is in class. Then you can ask for permission to rush to the toilet before the break time, because break time again the loos will be full, or there'll be a very long queue. But what's mostly disturbing our society right now is stigma. The gentlemen embracing menstrual health will, when they embrace it, it will really help a lot, because it's a human thing. It's something we woke up to. It's something God gave us.
We didn't choose.
Yeah, we didn't choose to have periods, so it should not be, it should not be like a case, a race issue, because periods nowadays, menstrual health is like a whole new debate. So I think when men lend us their voices, then we will be powerful together.
Yeah.
And then in school, by the way, we were also giving teachers, both male and female, so that they can store them in their staff rooms, and maybe of course have some for themselves. But the government should ensure that all schools, no matter how interior they are, they all have menstrual health products with them.
Yeah.
I think it's like a policy or something right now in Kenya. But the thing is, only those schools in towns, the schools that are easily accessible, get these sanitary towels. That I can bet my life on that. Yeah, my mom is a deputy in one of the schools in town, and her school never lacks. In fact, she has like excess sanitary towels when the schools are running. And the same period, we go to other schools that don't have sanitary towels, and it's the same government. So you wonder if, and my biggest question is usually, if you guys can take ballot boxes to these schools, and in Kenya we use primary schools as polling stations, and the ballot boxes get to these schools in the most interior of places, but sanitary towels cannot get there. You wonder. Yeah, so
where is it going? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I know that you've been super active within your organization, which is something that I love. I love watching everything that you're doing, because even in the middle of a global pandemic, you have been able to, not focus on yourself and your situation and what's going on, with you and your family, but look at other women, other communities that are suffering during this time, and really reach out. And that's something that's so inspiring, because with this pandemic, a lot of people have just been, closed minds and very into themselves, and have gotten depressed and all these different issues, because they're just focused on, I can't do things the way that I was doing it before. And it's such a selfish and unhealthy mindset. We need to, understand that there are other people around us that need our help, that are suffering so much more, don't have a roof over their head, don't have water, which is something that's just so, we use water here like nothing. And after studying on what's going on in Africa with water, I've been so conscious about my water usage. It's crazy. Because when you understand that the things you take for granted are things somebody dreams of having, it really takes a toll in your life and puts things into perspective. So I love that you've been able to, in the middle of all of this, been able to reach out and help those people that actually need help and need resources, and you've been able to provide those for them. I know that another issue that also broke my heart that we talked about as well is how a lot of women are also trading sex for pads. I mean, just thinking about it, it's mind-blowing.
Sanitary towels are expensive. One pack goes for 50 shillings. That's like $0.5. I think so. Yeah, because 2 will go for 100 bob. That's $1. I'm actually doing a campaign right now for $2 a girl. Like, somebody can choose how many girls they want to adopt for 4 months, and then send me the amount of money that they choose. For example, in a Kenyan context, that is 200 bob. Those are 4 packets. And maybe you can send me 800 bob. That goes for 2 girls. That's $8. Because in this family setup, people eat from hand to mouth. People do jobs that pay every day, which is, such jobs. And if that money is for maize flour, maybe for paying water, a water bill, or family essentials that do not include sanitary towels. So there's no way you'll just come there and say, oh, by the way, hey dad, I'm having my periods and I need 100 Kenya shillings. That's $1 for my sanitary towels. That is a whole expensive bill for this family. So they're having boyfriends who are mostly these guys, the motorbike guys, or just any other boyfriend that they expect them to provide for them sanitary towels. So you can imagine. So mostly it's poverty there, and there are not many jobs right now. Not many people are constructing houses or malls anymore. So it's really a pressing issue for these families, because there was a place we went to, and that the father to that girl actually hugged me, and he was like, you don't know how much this has helped my family. Because sometimes with the limited resources, you feel like what you're doing is just a drop in the ocean. But when you receive such kind of feedback from their parents, then you see how much you're really helping them. And like you said earlier, this pandemic, of course, even for myself, for my family, everything is not the same as it was before the pandemic. But I'm one optimistic person, and I'm always grateful, because I know I've worked with the communities, I think, since 2013. So I know how much stress is going on there. And to say the least, at least about periods, some families are even missing meals. Because of not having these day jobs, these jobs that they go to and they get $5 a day or $10 in a week. So I decided to just compose myself, just think positively, and do what we can for our communities, because it gives me hope and it makes me a better person. So thank you.
And I love that, because you doing that just inspires me, and anybody that follows you should be inspired, because you haven't let the pandemic take over your life or control you, dictate 2020 is canceled. No, you actually took this year to really press in even harder on these issues, and how you can adapt and reach out and help. And I think that's something that we all need to learn from. We all need to do that in our communities.
True.
And I love that I can have these conversations with women like you in different countries, because this is why I want people to learn about what's going on and what we can do to help. How are, people there already helping, and how can we help them? So me and you are going to be talking a lot after, because I definitely...
You're also doing a very good job, because most people don't know that these issues exist, and maybe they have their resources to give, but they don't have a place to channel their resources. So it's really nice that you thought of this. It's also a way of educating people on what they don't see on mainstream media, because these things you may not even see them on mainstream media, but they're really happening.
Yeah.
And that's very nice.
And it's important to have kind of like, people need to relate to a story in order to understand a situation. And
True.
I think a lot of times what happens is that we hear in the news about maybe things that are going on, but because we don't have a face, a story to relate to, we don't understand.
Just let it pass. Yeah.
We don't understand. Oh, that's just an issue that goes on in that country. So it doesn't matter. But once you have a face, to the problem, and you have a connection, and you hear a story, there you can actually, empathize and have compassion for the issue and what's going on, and maybe think about ways that, they can reach out and help. And so, I definitely want us to do something together. So we'll definitely talk.
Yes, anytime.
Well, I'm coming to Kenya anyway, and so when I come, I want to go not only a safaris and have all the fun, but I want to help and be another set of hands on whatever you need. So so tell us about grassroots, your grassroots organization. Where can people find, donate, all of that?
So the name of our CBO, our community-based organization, which is 100% youth-led, we are all very young people. It's called Drawing Dreams Initiative. We are in Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as Drawing Dreams Initiative. When you type that, it will come up. We are currently, of course, working on our website. And my name, as you know, like, you can reach me on, I have a PayPal, I also have like a bank account, but through our social media pages you can DM us, and I manage all of them, so I will be able to relate and respond to you.
Perfect. Yeah. And I definitely want to see how we can like partner, do like some sort of partnership, and see how we can help what you're doing.
Thank you.
I've always been very, I love supporting organizations, but I think it's very hard for people to sometimes donate or do anything, because there's so many organizations that are just taking people's money and scamming and doing things that aren't, so I love that you're very, very active. You're constantly posting, you're constantly showing your viewers what you're doing. So you're definitely an organization that I feel people should definitely support and donate. And, whatever you need, I'm here. So
thank you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for taking the time to doing this with me. And I know the baby's sleeping in the other room, so
even woke up.
Oh my gosh, where is she? Is she around?
Yeah, but my sister is around, so I think she's keeping her busy.
Okay. Aww. Well, thank you again. Go back to your baby, and
it was so nice catching up. I think I'll make like a poster on North Kenya shillings, so that I can like reach out to my friends. I was actually telling my husband that in the morning. Yeah, because the next place we plan to go, it's also a place where like the infrastructure is not so accommodative, so most people don't reach there. Yeah, and that's why we constantly keep showing our work, because people usually give money but they don't see where it goes. Yeah, and we always text people. When you give us back, we give you a feedback after we are done with that phase.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's definitely talk. I want to see how we can partner up, and I'll gather as much people as possible to help and support your organization. So
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night for you. It's daytime for me. So
Have a good day. Enjoy your Sunday, right?
yes, it's Sunday, but this episode
Um,
airs on Monday, so it's Monday. It's Monday.
okay. It was so nice catching up.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.